Most study groups are a complete joke. And you're an idiot if you keep convincing yourself it's helping. 2 hours of talking, everyone pretending they understand, and you walk away more confused than when you arrived. Someone talks for an hour, everyone nods. No one actually learns anything. Or worse, you sit there silently, pretending you understand material you clearly don't, and you leave embarrassed. That's not studying. That's a room full of people too afraid to admit they lost. And that's the exact problem. And that's what chapter 8 in the guide talks about. Most study groups don't fail because students are lazy. They fail because no one builds structure. No host, no plan, no roles, no rhythm. So the group becomes either a lecture or a quiet room full of confused people. And if you want the simple structure from chapter 8, the roles, the time blocks, the scripts, that framework is also inside the free guide. Because once you fix the structure, the entire study group changes. You've probably lived this already. You try studying with friends, you meet somewhere, you open your notebook, and then 2 hours disappear talking about everything except the class. Or the opposite happens. Everyone sits there quietly. No one asks the question, they're actually thinking. No one wants to look stupid. So the session ends, and everyone walks away pretending it helped, but nothing actually changed. You're still confused. You still don't understand the material, and now you're walking into the exam hoping something magically clicks. Most study groups look productive, but there aren't. Textbooks open, laptops glowing, someone highlighting something, someone explaining something they only half understand, someone Googling a definition, and somehow 2 hours disappear. Then everyone packs up their bags and says the same thing. Wow, that was productive. But motion is not the same thing as progress. Talking about studying is not the same thing as studying. And sitting near effort is not the same thing as doing effort. Sometimes you didn't study at all. You just hung out with textbooks nearby and called it studying. And the people who suffer most in bad study groups aren't the loud ones. It's the quiet students, the ones thinking silently, I don't understand this, but everyone else seems to. So they stay quiet. They nod along. They write notes that don't make sense because they don't want to slow down the group. They don't want to ask the dumb question. So the confusion spreads quietly around the table, and everyone leaves pretending the session worked. Now, here's the important part. Study groups themselves are not the problem. Bad study groups are, because when they're done correctly, they can be incredibly powerful. A good study group can turn 2 hours of confusion into 30 minutes of clarity. Not because the students are geniuses, but because the environment works. And the structure is actually simple. A real study group has 4 things: a host, a plan, time boxes, and a small ritual to close. The chapter calls the core of this the fix needs. First, group size. 3 to 5 people, not 10, not 8. Small enough that everyone participates. Second, time. About 90 minutes. Long enough to get real work done. Short enough that people stay focused. Inside that 90 minutes, you work in 25-minute focus blocks with short breaks. Third, roles. Every session needs a host, a timekeeper, and a note catcher. The host keeps the group moving. The timekeeper protects the focus blocks. The note catcher tracks questions and confusing ideas. Without those roles, everyone assumes someone else is steering, and the session slowly falls apart. Once the structure exists, the rest becomes flexible. You can rotate locations, split readings, explain sections to each other. Because teaching something is one of the fastest ways to discover whether you actually understand it. If your study groups in the past have been chaotic, that doesn't mean you're bad at learning. It means nobody showed you how to build one that works. College assumes everyone already knows the rules. Most of us don't. We're experimenting, we're guessing, we're figuring things out as we go. So if you ever sat in a study group feeling confused, embarrassed, or behind, you're not broken. You're just missing the structure. And once you learn that structure, everything starts to feel lighter. Questions become normal. Confusion becomes part of learning. And the group stops pretending productivity is happening, because it actually is. If you want the exact structure from chapter 8, the roles, the time blocks, the scripts to start your own study group, it's inside the free guide. Because studying alone is hard, but studying without structure is even harder. And sometimes fixing the system is all it takes to change everything.